All right, here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Roll call. Mr. Cunningham. Here. Mr. Maltzberger. Here. Mr. McKee. Here. Mrs. Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Schrock here. Absent, we have Mr. Harshbarger and Mr. Robbins on that, so we do have a quorum. Approval of minutes from August 2025 meeting. Anybody for making a motion to accept those?
I make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Cunningham,
Second.
second by Ms. Anderson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Five. Next order of business we have is we needed a secretary to be for the APC. Have spoken with Mr. Cunningham about being the secretary for the APC to be able to take minutes and to be able to provide those and send emails and such like that. Someone that would make
a motion for my secretary for the APC.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Maltzberger makes the motion. Mr. McKee seconds it. We have a motion, a second. We have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Or I guess that, can he vote on the same thing? I guess he can vote on that, on the, who passes unanimously. All right, set of group questions, we have, for the battery storage. Did anybody have any written notes that they brought in specifically needed in the ordinance on that? This is the spur thought as we look at these. This is gonna be one of the next ordinances that we'll be looking at, in order to send out the kind of an update for everybody. We do have, information to the APC attorney, to begin getting the, solar permit, so just a quick update on that. Did anybody have any written notes? So we can collate those and all that on battery energy storage, best systems. Energy storage system ordinance.
I just have some scrawled notes when we were doing it. I don't know if like you wanted like an official like list like KW had last week or just.
Not necessarily, something so that we can have, so that we keep track of, so we don't meander our thoughts, so that we can get this with the time is of essence on it. But we want to get it correct, so. What do you have? Mr. Cole?
What would be an example of the small scale residential system that we're trying to avoid including in this?
What are some examples of those?
Yeah.
Well, I know there's people that do have solar on there, you know, they've decided to buy a solar array or whatever you would like to call and to harvest that for the, I guess literally and proverbial rainy day. They have a battery, on that. We're not trying to, inhibit, that level of, storage. That's something you can do. But when we have, mass, commercial level, for lack of a better term, I'm not trying to be a lawyer, but, it's a big system. I mean, we're talking, I'm hearing in very large buildings that are packed filled with some sort of battery, on that. So we're wanting to know the safety on that. We're looking to make sure that we look at the health, welfare, safety of that, on those. So the numbers, I think we had was, do we look at limiting a number? Like, is it 500 kilowatt or how do we? I think that was on 3. I was trying to find it real quickly.
That's fine, you don't have to go further. I understand. It was a misinterpretation on my part on what the battery energy storage system. I thought that was something separate from solar, that's all. So sounds like it's not, correct?
So you have the solar array, the actual panels. I call that a solar array using a loose term. You have the solar array itself. That can be hooked into the grid itself, I understand. But then you can also have solar that is hooked up to battery that stores it. So then you can have, the sun doesn't have to be out for you to be able to produce
Gotcha.
electricity. So for at a residential or a, person on, I'll use farms since we're so agricultural here, a person having a farm and they decide to buy a solar, several solar panels and they want to store it so that they can use that later, by all means. That's where weighing out, should we say it's just for personal? Should we, on that, what are we wanting to send? We're not trying to word it, we're trying to be able to send it to the attorney to have her word that. But I'm gonna get, so.
I think my feedback, I've got solar, I'm off grid where I'm at. And so I have a 27 kilowatt array, goes in 1680 amp hours of storage, which is right around 100 kilowatt. And so I think from my position on this, I feel like if we use our comprehensive plan, we're still going to be focused on agriculture in this county. I think when we look at our large scale ag producers, I don't have a shop, I'm not running a welder, but there are many instances throughout the country where people are doing that. I think if we use just for my residential use, and I've got 3 buildings and a house and 5 heat pumps that convert and make heat and cool for the house. I feel like the 500 kilowatts is a nice residential round number, and then even with that, we can always apply for variance. If they say, hey, I've got a 20,000 square foot shop out here, and I need to be able to do this, I'm gonna need a full megawatt of storage. I think then we can apply for variance and do that. I think that the large key thing here is to make sure that so let's look at where we're at in Fountain County. Fountain County, we have Titmon and we have Duke, and together they make the Wabash Valley Electric Commission. Okay, they govern what we get to do. So like on a residence, you can't have more than 10 kilowatt array and still be able to dump your extra power into them. Now, they do not net meter, you're not getting a dime back for that. But once you go over that 10 kilowatt array, you have to specify that you're off grid. Okay, so I really think for all of our independent agri producers and independent people in the community, once you cross that 10 kilowatt, you're off grid anyways. So you're not going to be net metering back into them and getting a dime back. So I think thinking when they make their proposal to us and say, hey, I want to put this in, they're going to disclose whether they've got some type of arrangement with Duke or Titmon to set that power. They're going backwards into that.
Why don't we take top 2 of each one so we can get through this, and then just have another one you want to address?
As we go along, I'm quite fine.
Mr. Mossberg, do you have any?
I saw here somewhere I want to make sure we don't use any specific battery storage chemical system when we word this. I think you want to be real general about it. Mainly because, yes, I have lithium iron phosphate storage for mine, but here in the United States, we are we are kind of separating ourselves from the rest of the world. We are looking at, in South Carolina, there's a plant that's actually building grid storage sodium batteries. Okay, which is an entirely different formula of storage, okay? I want to make sure we don't pigeonhole ourselves into some type of language that is
Right.
like, I think we need to keep that very general.
You have that written down, so we can get that.
No, but I'll get that to you, I was just kind of,
No, that's fine.
yeah. No, that was my only one there.
Mr. McKee,
Excuse me, where's
did you have anything you wanted to, in discussion of it?
the, on battery, should we?
Batteries is where we're at right now. Mrs. Anderson?
No,
There any key points that you want to make sure, I mean, we got from that, setbacks, we think about those. As discussed with Mr. Harshbarger, he has weighting his, he's thinking through from the safety aspect of being, he deals with it in his full-time job. From the fire side, so we will have good information on that.
I will say on that side of it, if if we're putting in a large scale system. We are going to have to figure out how to get. Because you can't put out a battery fire with water, it has to be put out with fun. So that's gonna involve an extra expense on the county. If for some reason we get called out there for that, we need to have those resources, and those are gonna cost. You know, we're gonna have to make sure that that individual is doing that, somehow we are putting in the language of this, that they're gonna flip the bill for this. To cover it, just in case it goes bad, so that our fire departments have the resources to put out the fire and stuff. Yes,
Question on that, in particular, is, I've seen on the news several vehicle fires, one would have to be a semi that had a lithium ion. It was a EV vehicle. Electric vehicle, so, and they just had to let it burn out.
yes.
3 days of burning it out, of letting it burn out. Is that possible with a phone? Depends on what kind of battery storage they use, like system they use, I suppose.
Yeah.
But does phone take care of? like these?
Phone will help, but I do not know, I'm not well versed enough to say. on that.
Those are when I was not trying to put words in Mr. Harshbarger's mouth. He wanted to know what kind of battery, because he said, then we need to know what kind of foam, because foam, I'm using foam A, doesn't work on battery A, foam B works on battery A, and foam A works on battery B and C. And that's where the complexity that we want to make sure of when you're doing business here. It's not just on us to subsist your business. If there is an emergency, how do we do that? Having an emergency plan, having that it's actually on file, having a way to check to make sure it's on file. And then the training that I'm not trying to bring up, we're not delving into what we dealt with last several months. But we've talked much about safety and things like that, crash gates. Well, these are all important pieces in any of this for whatever it may be. Even if we get into subdivisions, can they get in and out of the subdivision, the fire department? And this is, did we make sure that the road was built in order to county specifications? It's private property until it gets turned over to the county. And then now we find out that the compaction of the rock underneath the asphalt doesn't support the county trucks, and so now we have to repave the whole thing. That's, so I'm not trying to meander, but those are the things that we're trying to get back, because I mean, there's a lot of questions we need to make sure. Yes, ma'am.
so I can tell you, no matter if the crash gates or not, they can't go in.
To the battery, yeah.
I have been out to this And they'll verbally tell me, I'm trying to get them to put it in writing and give them that plan. They haven't turned it into one yet. But they told me that no one can go in. That's what I said. And phone will not put it out, it is correct, you gotta have certain type of phone, and for the EV cars. Normally, because we went through, we went through a little training to tell us. On the highway, there's this big blanket and it's expensive, and they have to put that over it. Put it down and let it smother itself out, and it is like 3 days, so. Then you're like, I wonder if there's another vehicle that comes through here and it catches on fire, and one blanket's in use, what do you do?
Yeah.
That's what we're running into.
And that's where these are questions we have to
Yes,
ask ahead of time.
yes.
We don't pass something in order to find out what's in it, as one person put on national TV one time. Stated that we would rather do it a more appropriate way, where we ask the questions ahead of time. That's why we plan on that. So if you can all get to me questions in written, so we can be able to get those and collate them to be able to get that off. I urge you, as I have urged, and we'll cover for those that are new on the board. It's not just the meetings that we work, it's also, gathering from stakeholders across the county. Ask neighbors, ask call a fire chief. Pick their brain on those things, because those are the kind of conversations, at work. Ask your safety guy, hey, I was just wondering, can you give me insight? Bring that back, type it out, give us that information so that we can be able to get at Cleveland, and then send it off to the lawyer to get the legal terminology. Then we're gonna send it off to the other experts that we may need to have. That was one of the things I put in the budget, that we had money to be able to send off to experts. So a lot of the stuff, I don't want to oops on this. I don't want to, when you talk about a blanket. How many do we need? I mean, I don't want to buy 5 million of them, that seems overkill. But do we need one or two? Does 3 of the departments in Fountain County need one? In order to, these are questions that we're gonna have to ask and pass it through the appropriate channels, so. Think on these, we'll be getting that, get those, I'm gonna put let's see here, today's the 25th. October the 14th. Give me it's like homework. Give me information, I think October the 14th. On that.
Is there a specialist we can bring in, an engineer we can bring in, so we can have technical advice on this, instead of just asking. Just asking like people here, submit questions, we need to talk to someone who has specific knowledge of these issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I mean, this isn't, hang on, I'm sorry. This isn't I don't want it to come across in the wrong way. So then if we bring those in, if it's not in the budget this year, do you think council's good to pay for that?
So.
Okay, I'm just saying.
We have to have expertise to
Okay, let's,
discuss these things and make sound decisions and structure our ordinance.
okay. I'll do that. Sorry, go ahead.
That's all. In response to her comments, I was just doing some extra research, and it looks like Indiana recently adopted international fire codes surrounding large scale battery storage, even as recently as 2024. And some of the recommendations that they have are that the fire marshal or fire department in the area gets to sign off on the plan, but also to do site inspections. And that they have some standards for setbacks from residences and right of way. So it might be a good legal question to go ahead and just ask that we just get like a packet of whatever the current regulations are that any project should be, adhering to, because I'm not sure that we can expect that a state fire, official would be aware of, or responsive to coming out to do a local inspection. So whatever we can do to better empower the local to go through, if that's in the law, and we need to make a memorandum or an amendment or something to to give them a little bit more authority when they're going out to do inspections, that may already exist in the state code, so.
And that's what we'll be referencing. I know a lot of this is, what's that term? Not prototype, it's. They prototype it, made it, but they're like, just like, it's a pilot program, if you will, like, a lot of this stuff they're trying to figure out. Well, we can decide, do we want to be the trial pilot area?
Mhm.
Or do we wanna say, hold on here, there's other places, and that's why we need to talk. And I'm not saying to anybody here, I'm saying is this is the tenor of what we need to have. Is it's not just us 7 or 8 or 9, whatever on the board, we've gotta be out finding out. Cause we've got those, and I'll get on the horn.
I brought up the issue of fire, other issue.
Yep.
Issues with the solar farms too. I mean, fire is just a scary issue, whether it's batteries or their landscape or whatever. So,
And it's not one of those things where just because it's already being built that they get grandfathered in, like they're still subject to whatever the state code is. So we can make sure that, I just think it would be good to have some kind of legal packet on existing code so that we can, to the letter of the law as it stands right now, better empower
Absolutely.
local inspections.
I'll work on getting that expert, getting on the horn in order to find out. Switching over to next up is we're gonna discuss subdivisions.
could I address that to start with?
Go ahead.
I'm the only leftover planning commission member. The last year we worked a lot on subdivision ordinance. And we're close to finishing that at the end of the year, and I have our November 2024 document here. Roger Azar and Mr. White worked on that, and they worked on it to construct it so it would be applicable to Fountain County, so there wouldn't be a lot of bureaucratic BS in an ordinance that would not be applicable to Fountain County. So I have here, I would suggest we talk to Mr. White and Mr. Azar and have them go over what was the, I don't think this is the final document, but I think it's pretty close to what I have here. That would be specific for Fountain County.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying is that you're under.
Do you have copies? You think?
This is the only one I have here. So, well,
Okay,
Roger might have some, or
we can probably get here in the office to make comments for the numbers. We can have all the.
Well, I mean, I'm hearing you, but we also have other considerations on that. Of note, I don't remember what month it was. Mr. Azar came to Petersburg as a representative of a subdivider.
yeah.
So we're in a what's that term, a sticky situation on that, so we're gonna have to make sure we tiptoe through the tulips. But
Yeah, I have confidence in Campbell White and Roger to be independent and take a look at this, so.
I don't know if it's not a whether of confident, it's a conflict of interest when you're a representative of a subdivider and it's the
Yeah,
box starting.
I understand that, but
So-
I have confidence in Campbell and they and cities.
Say something. Say something.
I'm not,
Okay,
so no, you can come up, but come up to me, I forgot because I've had people tell me they can't hear the audience. So if you can come up here so that our recording can hear you, I apologize.
I think there's a thing that we could review. And
Yes, somebody, maybe Amber has it, I don't.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think there's a difference in having confidence in someone than where we have dealt, Amber and I have dealt with floodplain and that,
Okay.
and has some issues with. View, so just want to be careful sometimes too.
I know that the work makes it.
You know they did.
Yeah.
You know, they did.
Just a background, Roger brought in 2 thick, very thick notebooks last year that had ordinances in. And it was bureaucratic overreach. And the commission at that time finally said, this is too much, this is not specific for Fountain County, it's not applicable for Fountain County, we don't have personnel.
Well, just remember, we had to stop work order out there because of something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I just.
so what I'm saying is we've got a framework here we're gonna have to cut and paste, from like Warren County, which kind of worries me. Do we have the, capability and the personnel to enforce a cut and paste ordinance like we just take Warren County's?
I know what I've been instructed by the people that are accountable to we the people, the being the elected people that are the appointing authority for the APC. Being commissioners of what they're wanting, so we'll take that under, they're wanting to make sure and that we look through all of these, including all the ordinances. So
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you gave us Warren counties
Mhm.
as, yeah, I think we got,
that's a thought process there on that.
say that again.
That's a springboard.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm saying we have a framework that we developed here already last year that we need to take a look at too.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you can supply that, I'll get
I
that.
see if Amber has copies or somebody can make copies. This is the only one that I know.
Okay.
Well, the other planning commission members last year had copies, so.
Okay. But I also know, I mean, I'll be very clear, it's also, there was a change of command that happened, in January.
Say it again.
There's a change of command because the people wanted to change the direction.
Well, I don't disagree with that, but we worked hard last year in developing it. That's the entire planning commission last year. And I'm not going to throw it away just because we have a change in personnel or change elected officials.
That's kind of
Okay.
like being a president comes in, they're gonna change what they're doing, so.
John, if we're able to secure a digital copy, I'd be happy to go through it and kind of prepare a summary of its tenants, since it is tailored for Fountain County, so we can kind of eyeball it for
We'll look at it.
possible angles that we don't like and present it important.
That we don't have bureaucratic overreach.
And we're more than capable of doing that. That's why we got an APC attorney. That's why we had a change of command. There's a new direction in Fountain County. I mean, so,
I hope so, yeah.
I mean, well noted, I'll take it under advisement. So
Okay.
I'll go searching for it. Balancing private property rights, predatory practices, agricultural preservation in Fountain County. I know, as talking around, I'll say my comments to the very last on that. We'll start over here, Mrs. Anderson, did you have anything written down, turn in, or any comments, talk to things that you'd like to?
I have a couple of sort of at a glance sheets to share with you guys, and also I brought some copies for the public, but I just wanted to start by drawing our attention to the APC's jurisdiction on subdivisions. So if you guys have your ordinances in front of you, you can turn to section 3.01. And I was surprised when I joined the APC, how much authority the APC actually has on subdivisions, because a lot of times we're simply serving in an advisory capacity. Like amendments and things like that have to come from here and go on to the commissioners, but you do actually have quite a bit that is specifically APC jurisdiction on subdivisions. So in section 3.01, I just underlined a couple of things here. One says that the plan commission has the authority to conduct public hearings and make recommendations to the commissioners regarding, and it lists several things. I won't read those all, but one of them is applications for adoption or amendment of subdivision control ordinance. And then if you skip down to the bottom, like the third line from the bottom, it also says that the plan commission also has the authority to conduct public hearings and make determinations and decisions regarding plats, replats, amendments, and vacations of plats and other matters as provided for in the Fountain County subdivision control ordinance, which is very nuanced management level. But then I went hunting for the subdivision control ordinance, and I don't think that we have one made at all.
As far as I know, that's right.
And so I put together a findings of risk right now that we're under by having authority granted in a jurisdiction, but no document to base it on.
That might come right out of the code, I'm not for sure.
And so.
Read.
Also, to be on this one, please.
Yeah.
And John, I'll just put some of these on the desk in case anyone from the public would like to see.
Thank you.
This is just my evaluation of where we're at. It has not gone through any procedures. It doesn't reflect the view of this body.
It's just a stat of all the same.
That's all one page. They're all at a glance, yeah.
Yeah.
So findings of risk. If we continue with housing developments without creating these subdivision controls, and I know, John, that's why we're discussing it today, but I just want to have people kind of made aware of how urgent this is, because it may not seem so. Number one, if we don't get this document made or even consider other measures, we're looking at a possibility of unregulated growth. You could have multi-lot housing projects that could be approved under other sections of the ordinance as just regular housing. And not go through the extra rigor that a subdivision review would go through. And as a consequence, those developments may fail to meet minimum standards for lot size that we have because they're doing it all in one parcel. And then you'd have also issues with multifamily use like road access and drainage and utilities. And then if those homes were to be built and sold, it would be really hard to go backwards and make any changes. That could put a strain on our infrastructure. It could present future legal challenges and liabilities. And I think erosion of public trust shouldn't be overlooked, that we have this referenced in our ordinance, and so we should have the document made or even consider other measures. And so that's a number 4. And citizens may perceive favoritism or weak governance when developments advance without oversight. Transparency and accountability are undermined when the county appears unable to regulate its growth. And then number 5, and it's the final one, it's just that we missed the opportunity to, those planning provisions are in place so that we can have orderly planning. And so that's missed if we don't have this in place. So in conclusion, allowing the housing developments to proceed under the current regulatory gap risks locking Fountain County into unregulated growth that could strain infrastructure, invite litigation, and weaken public trust in government. So I did also put together a few things to consider on perhaps having a moratorium on subdivision. This isn't prepared for tonight, but just something that we might want to think about in the future. And so I'll just pass that out and make that available also.
Possible moratorium, I hear what you're saying on that. Mr. McKee.
Oh, I wasn't quite done. If I could make these available, we'll just go through that. Almost done.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
If the board is interested in pursuing the moratorium, I did put together a draft motion that we could maybe submit to legal for review. Of course, a moratorium, would have to come ultimately from the commissioners. But I do have that available with the included motion if anyone is interested on the board. And so
What we're trying to do is go through the questions are right now is study group things
mhm.
of, do we want to look at that? So we have listed, is there a possible moratorium? So no, we would not be interested in a motion. That is correct.
Okay, well, so that's on the questions list that we're going through a possible moratorium. You want
I
me to
just wrote
hold?
down that we would have, that we're bringing up, this, we're not making any motions this evening for that.
Right.
So. That's
So
what I'm saying is.
I
no, we
do
would
just
not-
have a draft wording prepared, so.
If you want to
people
submit
could-
that, that would be fine.
Yeah, to look through and if we prefer it to go through legal review first, then maybe we want to do that. These aren't stapled, so I'm gonna engineering school fold them for you guys. Okay, and that's all I have on that, John.
One for each.
Mr. McKee.
And what is,
I think it's a complete pack.
Is that a whole?
Yeah, this is a top.
That's a whole pack. That's okay.
thank you. What's your question?
Study group questions, spurring, do you have anything that you want to, in looking at the subdivision control ordinance, subdivision?
I mean, we had a plan commission last year consisted of County County residents. Put together a preliminary subdivision control ordinance. I think we need to look at it. We put in a lot of work on it. And I'm not going to throw it away just because it was done by a different political group.
Okay. So nothing over this?
No.
Okay. Mr. Maltzberger.
I have nothing at this time.
Okay.
You can still marking it for that. The warrant can do it in some.
Mr. Cunningham.
I don't have anything at this time now.
So in thinking of the things that I've heard that we will be, I call it honing the corn close. Is things of, when farmers, I use the term just for, pigeonholing anybody. Somebody owns 5,000 acres, has 5 kids, and they want to subdivide that out to parcel it out. Staying as far away from that as humanly possible, you do what you want to do on your land. If you want to start, parceling off your land and you want to build a home and you invest the money, having that, that's, good Lord love you. You spent the money, you paid the property tax, the rent to the government for your land, and you have a lot of acreage and you go and start doing that. That's not, and this is an opinion of mine. I'm not trying to express an opinion of what we are going. I'm making my case on this to sway your opinion on it. But what I would like to see is making sure that what we're staying away is from I don't know the term, these developments that just come in and they randomly pick. It's like throwing a dart at a dartboard. How in the world did they pick that location? I mean, that is the furthest place away from anywhere. It makes no sense. There's no scenic overview, and then you find out is the reason they did it is because they had a backdoor access because they knew somebody, and so they got really cheap land. And now all of a sudden, it's the road's not straight. The lots aren't even, you can't even put a well on the lot. The lot next to you has your well, but they forgot to get the legal documentation that you take care of the well. So then who takes care of the second well on the, so you have lot A and lot B. Lot A has 2 wells on it, one for lot A and one for lot B. Well, who takes care of lot B's well? Well, it's on lot A's property. Well, but it's not my well, lot A owner argues. Well, these are it's like we got the cart before the horse. We're doing things. Again, as one person that of elected office said on national television, let's pass it and let's find out what's in it. That's not how we do business in Fountain County. Back to, I see a lot of these things that we've done and we've pushed through of previous administrations that we didn't think it through. Like, shouldn't we ask? And it's not just about fire departments, but if we get 70 homes inside of an area and they're postage stamp size lots. I lived in a city and literally, I mean, you're 9 feet away from your neighbor. So if their house catches on fire, I've talked to the fire departments and they're like, we've got to spray water on that house. But then they don't even have the nearest pond. There's no infrastructure, I guess is the term. There's no infrastructure available. Is it that we're against having new residents to Fountain County? Absolutely not. We're not looking for us for no more. What we're looking for is orderly. We need to make sure that we have, can the fire truck even make the curve? Can 2 fire trucks pass each other? Because if you're out in the middle of the country,
we're not running, fire hydrants out to you. So you're gonna be operating off of a dump tank. So that means we're gonna have tankers. Those are big tanks on the back of a E650 truck, and they're dualies and they aren't narrow. And if they can't pass each other, you're going to limit the amount of water on them. So that's what we're trying to regulate, not whether or not the good Lord blessed you with a lot of acreage and you want to give that to your family. I want to see stated is that is not, that's not overlooked. That's literally listed as an exemption from this, has nothing to do with that. It's watching out for big developers coming in and just throwing a dart upon dog. So. We had homework for October 14th. Why don't we go with October 14th again? Be polling your stakeholders, people that are that would be, and gathering that information, collate it into a written form on that for that to meet, and we will get that in. And I would echo the fact that we need to look at this because we do have subdivisions being looked at in Fountain County on that. So we need to be working on that. I did not get a study question for AI data plants, but I wanted to it's not a thing of I want them, I don't want them. I'm wanting to know is things on that, if has anybody given thought to those pieces. I'm trying to draft study group questions on that because that's another issue that we have that's on our hand.
I would like to address that because I see that as while we are all afraid of the monster that's already here in the county, the data plants are a larger and greater monster lurking in the shadows that I think will impact us 10 times what solar is today. Because when we look at data plants, and there are many of them going in, literally hundreds in the state of Indiana. The nearest one to Fountain County is in Tippecanoe County. Those data plants require immense amount of electricity. They are equal to Danville, Crawfordsville, and larger, that amount of power just for that.
What's cooling?
But the cooling is the bigger problem because the cooling takes water. Okay, they use evaporative cooling and they also use water running through the systems to cool the servers. A single data plant, it is not unrealistic of average size, can pull at least 1 million gallons a day. There are already multiple cases in northern Indiana where they're actually dropped the water levels to build a data plant to the foundation deep enough. They actually dropped the water level in the aquifer. People lost their well water. So underneath Fountain County are sitting multiple aquifers. We will try to get a map so you know where your aquifer is that you're sitting on. I think when we look at data plants, I think rather than saying data plants as a phrase, okay, I think what we don't have in our current zoning is we don't have water rights issues. We don't have regulation on water. Right now, I pulled up some stuff on DNR. DNR governs water use rights in Indiana, but they only get involved when they're pulling more than 100,000 gallons per day. So where are we at between 1 gallon and 100,000 gallons? And that water right issue is kind of overarching. It covers more than just a data plant. There are other things that we use a lot of water. We don't have a lot of center pivot irrigation here in the county, but that also can drop wells. So I think we need to look at language around water rights, wells, how that impacts our neighbor, that issue. And I think that's a better way of managing that issue rather than putting a name on it. Is more like governing how we utilize water, how we discharge that water, because there's multiple cases here in the state, there are lawsuits going on about where data plants are actually discharging that water to drop the aquifers to put in these behemoth foundations for these plants.
So-
So that's where I think, and I will try to pull some material up on that, so that we can maybe have that and throw it to you, John, before I get a Q&A question back into that, so we can look at that.
We structured our last zoning ordinance to address landfills, and we kind of went that way. We didn't specifically say you can't build landfill. We structured it so there wouldn't be a landfill. So I think we have to do some, I have no desire to have data plants in Mountain County.
And the big thing is like, and I don't know how far that overreaches, so. I forget the aquifer that runs up into Tippecanoe County. Where that data plant is, also is in Mountain County, so what our neighbor next door is doing is going to impact us. So I think we need to look at how that language can be worded so that we protect our residents, so you don't lose your well water.
So one of the things, and was, I was trying to remember the exact wording, and we have great basis to stand on to do exactly what you're talking about, is on, page 16 of our comprehensive plan. Number 6, page 16, it says protect natural resources in the county. Evaluate, promote policies which preserve and protect drinking water resources and the water quality and aquifers for both the health and well-being of citizens and the environment. Number 14, consider updated and improved means and methods for preservation of farmland and other natural resources, such as the Wabash River and aquifer used for potable water. So anytime we think about a new ordinance, you're proposing a new ordinance, we have to think of, does our comprehensive plan give us the foundation for it? If we don't have the foundation in our comprehensive plan, we can't write the ordinance. We can like to write the ordinance, we can want to write the ordinance, we can pound the table, we can even get on we can buy on 103.1 ads on 103.1 and scream about it. But if it's not into the comprehensive plan, so we already have that there, so we can begin doing that, we don't need to modify for that point as well, bring in, so it's the framework is there, good to go. Now we need to start drafting that. Experts, we would need to talk to hydrologists on that, and people who are.
Expert will driller right here in Mountain County. Excuse me, my memory's gone right now.
Yep, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
We can get, there's Brian Hargan and Jeff Finley, Finley Brothers, Finley. I mean, these are people, I mean, Jeff has put in wells all across America.
Brian knows where every
And-
aquifer is in the world.
I mean, there is so much that we have, people that know water, on that, so. Good point. Mr. McKee, anything you want to put in that for AI?
No, I'm just, I'm in the same position on AI as I am on landfills.
Okay. Mrs. Angel,
Have you ever heard of primary water?
heard of what?
Primary water. You're actually drawing water from the source.
Will these come up here so we can have, I apologize, I need to remember to do that. I'm remembering the person, I don't want them to yell at me.
Primary water is, you're actually drawing it from the source, which they don't want. Because if you drew it from the source, you'll be dropping everybody's water tables. Can't remember the guy's name, he was out in California, he drilled multiple wells, primary wells. He's done it all over Africa and stuff. It's not something that wants to do, because you're drilling way deeper than what we drilled at. We're basically getting surface water, which is what they want to draw away, is what surface water. They would have access to primary water if they really want. But there's no need to take from our aquifers.
Okay.
And if you dig into the primary water, it will come up. You may have to search a little bit.
Can you provide some information to us on that?
Oh,
I would love for that to be submitted, that'd be great, thank you. Mrs. Anderson, sorry.
So. And where I'm from in Louisiana, my family had a farm and there was this lore about a well where one of the family members had gone down into the well. and to do some work. And when they got down there and they were working on the sidewall of it, it fell and there was this underground, water body as far as they could see. And so we actually explored, there was a spring there and an aquifer that was super wonderful water. And so we were exploring what would it take to extract that? Could you bottle it? And one of the first things that we were advised by legal to do was to establish that we had made discovery of that aquifer and get mineral rights over it, because if you're the one that discovers it first, then it doesn't matter how far the aquifer goes into other property. It's still your aquifer. So if we do have aquifers that go across other county lines that we wouldn't necessarily be able to regulate, it may be good to go ahead and draft language that these aquifers, the residents rely on, we have a well, I think we actually have a large percentage of the population on well water. So that in the meantime, we have a stopgap, because I know that industry in Indiana, they found a lot of favorable, reasons to have development really quickly. So maybe in short order, we should look at establishing the mineral rights of Fountain County, that anything that the Fountain County residents are already using can't be used for corporate purposes like that in the future. And it sort of is the same as my thinking on subdivisions. We can't like pull together so quickly these ordinances. Even the solar one is taking us a really long time. So I feel like it's prudent to have a stopgap measure. So we may want to go ahead and, just because we have no language on the data center, and maybe we do them like part and parcel, go ahead and look at doing a moratorium on subdivisions and a moratorium on data centers, just to make sure that we get amendments to the ordinance that cover it. And I have the draft subdivision moratorium. I'm happy to put together the draft data center moratorium. I just need to know what the pathway would be to get legal review, so that everybody feels confident when that comes to the table. So what would that pathway be if a member has something that they want legal review on? How would they go about doing that?
If we're wanting to get for instance, a moratorium, then we would have to go through the path of seeking what we were going to do. Is that where we were all wanting to head on that would be in it's not just in one meeting that we would be doing that. It would be.
Well, like I have the motion prepared, so if I wanted to make this motion, but it's so serious. The members would want to know, had it been reviewed by legal before they would want to vote on it. So how can I get legal review prior to the vote so that it's on good legal footing when they vote? Does that make sense?
So are the question would be, does the board want to move forward on a moratorium? If we're going to do that, then we're going to have to look at that, then we're gonna have to do those. That's not what we're doing here at this meeting.
So do I need to make a motion to get legal review then and have that voted on ahead of time? Or am I allowed access to the legal review to review the document before I make the motion? Because if I'm not, and correct me if I'm not understanding right, it sounds like you would like for the body to agree before it goes to legal review. But what I'm saying is, before we vote, I would like for it to go through legal review to make sure I'm not asking people to vote on something that has liability built in.
But are we even wanting to go forward with having a moratorium on that?
Well, and the only way to know officially would be with a motion and a vote, right? So is that what you're asking? I guess we maybe need a rule on that for the APC, because we do need access to legal.
We've
And
always had access to legal. We've never not had access to legal.
well, I don't know that I have access to legal to review my motion. I wouldn't wanna, cut through any other processes, like if, do I need to just pass it to you and you'll email it to her? Maybe we need to go ahead and be transparent about what our expectation is on that, because I don't think that we can wait for a body vote to have something looked at by legal. Because the concern last meeting, when I brought the motion that hadn't had legal, was that no one wanted to vote on anything that hadn't been through legal. So do you see the catch-22, John?
I hear what you're saying, but I'm saying is, so tonight what we're doing, so to explain what we're doing, we're having a study group. In order to be able to go through, it's not on the agenda to be able to do that. So you bring up a moratorium, we now look at a moratorium, point well taken. We'll have the conversation on a moratorium, so that we have to ponder that. The whole thing, we don't just do it on the night of. But that's one of the things,
Right,
okay.
but if we,
So then,
With our discussion-
hang on a second. So then, so if you wanna have this draft motion, we have this draft motion, will this be the one? Most likely, this will be the one that would be then sent if that's where we are wanting to go.
well, how do we decide if that's where we're wanting to go?
How do we decide? Well, we would have discussions on it, so we then bring that up. So then we would then, so we would be notified. I would like to have on the agenda. And that's what we're going to have, and we can pass that through and have the discussion on that. But that's not on the agenda for this evening. Moratoriums aren't.
Okay, can we put it, make a motion to put it on the agenda for the October meeting?
Can we have it on the October meeting
Yes.
for moratoriums? Absolutely.
Moratorium on. A moratorium on subdivision and on water rights, and I think I'd rather, I personally feel more comfortable if we call it water rights than we call it an AI data center. Moratorium, water rights, if we just cover water rights and let's just take an ambiguous number, the water rights for using more than 1,000 gallons per day.
Mhm.
And we just have a moratorium on that, till we can some language given. I can see where you're coming from, Jess, because we've got so much on our plate and so much that we need to get covered, but we need to do it judiciously, so we don't make bigger problems than what we have presently. So I kind of think that the moratorium options, I think, kind of puts everything on stay. We can then figure out some remedies and languages that we can work on to get that done. And then we can move forward.
So if it's gonna be on the agenda for next time, how do I get legal review of the language between now and then?
So as we've said and on it, so the point person for the planning is send it through to me, we then send it off to the person. That's how we've had it. That's what I've been told.
You send it off to,
The attorney.
okay. Yeah, I think you have to get legal if it's because they're state and federal.
Correct.
Statutes.
I mean, we can have it. So having a moratorium, so then what can we do is, I'm not saying there's my mind goes and explodes with questions. So then we have to have, I'm sure everybody is, well, that's why we go through. Is the moratorium a bad idea? Nope, it's worth pushing forward on, but then we start that. So then how do we get it to legal? Well, then we send it, as I've stated, is you send it, I want this to be sent to legal, and then we look at that. If we get that, that's been stated. That, oh yeah.
Okay, well, I'm happy to draft those
Thank you, Jess.
and hopefully have them back from legal by.
We need to have a deep
So next
legal
meeting.
dive on this.
Correct. Mr. Cunningham.
Just from what I've seen with data centers so far, my concern would be more about how the utility companies can pass on the cost of that according to how much the purchaser puts into it, like trying to make sure that they are more responsible for the cost of this than the people, especially, since we don't know what the length of the year of the contract is and stuff like that. It seems like. So I don't know how to word that.
And the sad reality is, if you're on Duke, and that project that's going into Canali is Duke. You're already gonna be paying on this. When they do that one, the cost to, however they're working their deal with that, you're already going to be paying.
And there's state laws that have already been put in place.
That allows them to do it.
Back to your point of deep legal review, there's a lot of, there's bills, I can remember from 2018 and 2019 that sets up some parameters of what we can do and we can't do. Back to your point of deep legal review. Not saying that we can't do a moratorium, but there is so much, even back all the way back then, 7 years ago, that is hemming us in. Then there was Senate bill, I don't remember this year, the number 425, that's ringing in my mind, don't quote me on that. that put in place even more restrictions. So is having that, that's where we have to go forward on that. So does that answer your? Was that what you had to present?
Yeah, I mean, just
Can you
along,
note that? I like that. I didn't take notes. I was listening
Yeah.
more than taking notes.
yeah, I
Can you
can,
scratch that out and send that to me?
yes, I can.
Because I think that's definitely a point.
I think a moratorium might technically have to be written as an amendment, like the solar moratorium was. Does that require a special hearing? Or can we just do that at a regular public meeting, do you know?
Those are questions that we would have to have. And then do we need a special notice it? Then do we have to have an ordinance that, because the moratorium that we have was an amendment to an already existing article.
Right,
So we said that, all of this and just tack this on at the very bottom to XYZ date. Those are, so those are all pieces that we would work through. Those are all pieces.
Yeah, because you discovered that actually in our ordinance, we don't have that subsection in there.
yeah,
We're actually missing it,
yeah,
and we don't have anything on water rights.
right.
We have on drainage, but no water.
I wonder if there's another section where it would be logical to tack it on, the same way that we
Yeah.
did solar.
So then we would have to decide, or if we're sticking it on does numerically making the ordinance, so is Article 10 gonna be subdivision control, or is Article 10 gonna be water rights, or Article 10 gonna be battery energy storage? Those are all pieces that we would have to look at, because we don't have a subdivision. So is that Article 10, or is that Article 11 or 12 or 13?
Well, I'll be sure to
On-
include that in the request for legal review. I think just logically looking at it, what I would say at first glance is right now, if you were at an AI data center, hypothetically, because there's no special section, you could just get a permit based on regular building permits, so that might be the section that if we have to tie it to an existing section, that we would want to look at tying it to. And, if we ended up writing our own section for it later, of course, it would get its own.
So that's why we have to get through the process, and we have to get all the pieces. The simplicity of just doing one thing. One may think that getting the moratorium is as easy as typing on Microsoft Word. Not accusing anybody here of that. I'm saying it's just, that may be a thought. Doing this is way more complicated than it may be. All right, number 5 is done. Number 6, we have a motion to adjourn.
Listen. Just,
Okay.
at the last meeting, you were talking about appendix A, and so when it was
You're talking about what?
appendix A.
That's not on the agenda for tonight.
Could I put that whole business, please, so I can have just a small discussion. That's not part of our ordinance.
Correct,
Yeah,
but it's referenced.
No, we're not, that's not what we're discussing this evening.
say it again.
We're not discussing that this evening. What's on the agenda, that's what we're following.
Okay, the whole agenda,
Yes, sir.
but it's not on ordinance.
Right.
Yeah.
Can we make any other requests for things to put on the agenda in the future?
You can send those in to be put on the agenda, yes, that's fine.
Do you want me to ask now, since we already planned on the other two, the water rights and the subdivision? And if we feel like it's too much for one meeting, then okay, wait. I would like to give an update
To be able to have on the agenda
for next time.
for next time. Yes, we can have on it, it's under number 5. So if it's a number 5 or a number 4, absolutely. Number 3, number 2, number 1, but if we're running for a meeting in the future, an additional thing, then email me and we will look at putting it on the agenda. We have a motion to adjourn.
Also moved.
Mr. McKee makes a motion to adjourn. Have a second.
Second.
Mr. Maltzberger makes a second, all in favor.
Aye, any opposed? Not quite 6:45, but I was trying to get out of here about 6:45.
Oh, you know, I locked the door so you could go out the side doors. The side door, either way, Washington or whether we.
And you stop the,
Um,
and it starts converting, let it convert. Oh. End. End meeting for all.